Welcome back to my channel. This is Madhuri Varma, your go-to guide for everything related to higher education, career management, and personal development. Since I moved to the US in 2020, I have received questions from many of you about how I searched for jobs here, how my interviewing experience was, and how I managed to move my career from one country to another. While I can answer most of those questions by myself, I thought it would be wholesome for you all if I invited someone else as well who has gone through the same grind so that you all can benefit from both of our experiences. My guest today is also a fellow ISB alumna who has been a management consultant for over 6 years. She has worked in the US, India, Hong Kong, and is now in Singapore with a fintech company. She has her own YouTube channel called InsiderGyaan, where she shares her career and college life experiences for the benefit of others. Let's welcome Soumi Datta. Hey Soumi, really nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Good, all good. Thanks for having me. And I know we have been planning this for so long, so finally we are able to make it. So glad.
And I'm very excited for this conversation because this is one of the most requested topics and one of the major pain points, I would say, for many people. But I would like to start with you. How did you find your way to Singapore?
Initially, when I started working in India and I was shuttling a little between India and US. And at that point of time, I think both me and my husband, we were planning to move to US, but somehow Hong Kong happened. And then we were like, it's closer to home. So it happened for my spouse. And then for me, the move that I made was internally through my to my then company. I was working in a management consulting firm, and management consulting firms usually are global. They have offices everywhere. So I networked a little bit. I tried to find out people internally, and then made that happen, the move to Hong Kong. Then, while moving to Singapore from Hong Kong, it was honestly a little bit of a leap of faith. I came here because I was at a point where I wanted to move out of the consulting firm and move into something niche. And COVID was also just starting up. So I either had an option, like I didn't have much time to like figure out something and then move.
How inspiring, I would say. One term that stood out from your entire answer was leap of faith. And I think this entire process of just uprooting yourself from one country and trying to move to another is nothing but a leap of faith. And I'm sure there must have been many challenges along the way. Do any of the challenges like stand out, or you feel like, okay, yeah, these are prominent enough for like everyone to know about? And how did you overcome them?
So I think, the biggest challenge is trying to break in into a new country, because obviously in any country, in any specific country, the institutes or the companies would want to find someone who has local experience, and that market experience is probably the biggest challenge, which I also face, because Hong Kong is also a very like Chinese language focused country. So that's why I was very sure that I cannot quit my job. I have to find something internally. And that's something I feel like a lot of us underestimate, because most of us are working in MNCs. And if we like look out and if we do enough to bring seniors into confidence, I feel those opportunities are easier to find than like just trying to find something from cold.
And that is so important. You, as you rightly said, many of us underestimate the power of working in an MNC, which has offices in multiple locations, because that's like a ready opportunity for you to enter into. Because when you're applying for jobs in a different country, you're competing with the local talent. There is no saying that they cannot find someone in their own country from the same culture who will do the same job as you do. But you need to show them that you are better. And the only way you can do that is first accepting and acknowledging that it's going to be difficult, and secondly taking ownership. And a lot of people look for these opportunities mostly because of family relocation. If one person from a couple gets a job, for example, just like it happened with you, I know it happened with me. That's when I started looking for jobs in the US. But many people also do it just from like a pure career move perspective, that okay, I want to work in a different country, I don't want to work here anymore, irrespective of where you are in the world. Going for a master's is one of the ways in which you can do that. I know LinkedIn is one such way to look for jobs, but is there like a proper process that they could follow? Certain things, or a rough template of sorts? I know we don't want to spoon feed, but like a rough template that people could follow for looking for jobs in a different country.
I have a few thoughts here. Number one, as you pointed out, the easiest way is probably go the master's route because obviously you then become a local talent and all companies, you build a network in that place, so as to say. So that's the easiest route. Second, not so easy, but also if you are starting in India, then you can move through your company, which is what I did. And that's also semi easy, I would say, but it's not as easy because you still have to like maneuver the entire way. And thirdly, I know for a fact that a lot of these like countries, I mean, obviously it depends from country to country. For example, US would not run something like a scholarship program, maybe, but there are so many countries who are running their scholarship program, who are actually fetching for talent. And I won't have some of the resources in place, but I do follow quite a few of these, like Instagrammers and YouTubers who post a lot about these kind of stuff. And I feel like if you follow these people, it's easier to get the lead at the right time, which a lot of us won't necessarily know because we are not like researching the entire space for it. Networking helps. And like you pointed out, LinkedIn, I mean, for me, LinkedIn helped so much that I would vouch everyone to sort of update your profile and reach out to wherever you want to work. Try to find out the relevant contacts and talk to them and understand what kind of things their companies are looking for.
Yeah, and I think not just on LinkedIn, right? Even in real life, having those networks becomes so important. You never know when one person whom you probably met like 5 years ago at some event happens to be working at a company where you are looking for a job. And that connection just really helps if you have maintained a conversation with them over time. What are some of the major aspects you think one should focus on when they are looking for a cross country?
So a few considerations maybe people should have because when you're working in a different country, firstly, what stands out to me is the cultural adaptability. I mean, different geographies have such different cultures. I mean, I know I struggled quite a bit in the first like 4 or 5 months when I had started working in US because I'm a very meek person. Like I just couldn't adapt for the first few months to the kind of confidence and the vocal nature that people have over there. It took me some time, but then I eventually settled in. But I can imagine that that could be the case for a lot of others as well. So understanding those differences is important. And one question, I get quite a lot is like how is it living in another place and what salary should you expect, because it's a fact, right? Every country has their salary benchmarks based on their local needs, and it's impossible for you to, even if you get an offer, like impossible for you to know whether to accept it or not, whether it is good enough or not. So for that, I think again a little bit of research, but the thumb rule that I follow is if um, like try to find out what your living expenses are going to be, and if it is 50 to 60% of your income, then I think you are in a good place. Like I'm talking only about the needs, of course, and if it is lesser than that, then great. I mean, you can accept that salary and move on. Everything else, I feel like they fall into place, and you'll adapt and learn on the go as well. And one thing I definitely want to say is that communication helps quite a bit, like good communication. I strongly believe that there's no such thing when you're moving to a new situation or a new country, no such thing as over communication, because the more you are able to communicate, the more you are understanding the other person also, and the other person is also trying to understand you better. So it just helps.
Yeah, and that's more to do during the initial days of your job, right? It's okay to ask questions, as many as you want, because you are in that period where people are okay if you ask questions because they know that you are new and you don't know anything. And once that period passes, then it's not okay to ask certain questions. Then you are expected to know that. So I always recommend to utilize that initial period when you start a new job to ask as many questions as you can and get to know as much as you can. I think since we were talking about cost, one of the other considerations that I also ask people to keep in mind is to not quit your job until you have another opportunity in hand. I know many people end up just saying that, okay, I'm going to quit my job and then look completely, I want to focus for getting into a different role in a different country. But they just don't realize how difficult it would be to not have a stable source of income coming in that that sustains their basic expenses like rent, groceries, especially if you have a family. So important to manage those financials, even have like a list ready on how much you will be able to sustain, how many months you'll be able to sustain if you quit your job right now and, before you get your new job. Two skills, I would say, that would help people sail through this entire thing, according to me, would be one, patience, because it's not easy. You'll get many rejections before you get that one job acceptance. And second is going to be perseverance, because again, as I said, there are going to be many rejections along the way, but you need to persist and be able to apply to more roles, as many as you can, and stay motivated throughout. Anything that you would like to add from your end, Soumi? Any advice for someone who is just starting out their cross-country move, or even thinking about moving to a different country for their career?
Probably definitely going to repeat LinkedIn again. Just like update your LinkedIn profile with all the right skill sets that you have, and use your current connections and even LinkedIn connections just to know the new market a little bit more. Often what I see is that if your LinkedIn profile is super updated and if you have already put in like the open to job thing, like the feature that's there on LinkedIn, a lot of recruiters will automatically reach out to you. Some may work out for you, some may not. That's a different thing, but it's a great thing, right? Like an inbound lead is always a lot more. I mean, has a lot higher probability to convert than like a outbound lead when you are reaching out to people. So definitely that, and yeah, like you said, patience and perseverance, and that's probably not just for the new market, but for any kind of job. At the end of the day, I mean, companies don't really reject you for your skill sets or for the person you are. It's a like a match, right? That is being met. So you have to like the company has to like you, has to be a cultural fit. So there are so many aspects that there's absolutely nothing should like make people feel demotivated or dejected because of those rejections.
I can totally vouch for the LinkedIn piece that Soumi is recommending people. It has worked for me. I know so many recruiters reach out if your profile is up to date. And even if, as Soumi said, it doesn't work out, you actually get like an inventory of recruiters whom you can keep emailing maybe the next time you want to search for a job, right? So
Absolutely.
please make use of LinkedIn as much as possible. You will be surprised by the results. All right, this was such a lovely conversation, Soumi. So much information packed, and I'm sure our viewers are going to be finding this very helpful. So thank you so much for making the time. Before we conclude, I would really like for you to share a few words about this channel and maybe encourage the viewers to subscribe. Very close to 10K. So I'm hoping that we'll hit that. So any words from you?
Yay. Yes, I just want to let everyone know that I mean, I know that you are doing a great job at like not just creating the content, but also offhand helping people in their master's program and in their overall career journey. So, and but plus I know that my channel and your channel has a lot of like overlapping subscribers. A lot of people do come to me that they have watched your channel as well.
Yeah,
So
likewise.
definitely I would recommend everyone to just subscribe to the channel right now if you are looking for MBA or masters or just a general career advice as well. Please subscribe.
All right, people. I hope this conversation was helpful for you. We tried to address as many common questions that both Soumi and I receive on a regular basis about career moving or like cross-country moves. So I hope those got answered. If you still have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Both Soumi and I will try our best to answer to you. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.